It's a pleasure to be here in Riyadh. When we talk about real estate, today, especially in Riyadh, is a city like, we are no longer talking about buildings and infrastructure. We are talking about how spaces work for people and influence daily behavior. What we'll share now is not a theoretical vision and not a list of trends. I'm presenting one project called the Metro Happiness Hub. Okay? It's a global. This project is based on global participation. Today, I'm world president of FIAPSI, and they support institutional by FIAPSI, which actively involve its global leadership and expert. In the same moment, it is also globally grounded solution, carefully locally, adapted through cooperation with FIAPSI Saudi. I thank you very much, their cooperation, and the REFA, which is the principal member of FIAPSI Saudi. A so big scale public infrastructure needs prove that lower risk and fast adaptation, and this is not only a site-fits-all import, it's a global expertise with local intelligence. But what we're speaking about today? We speak about from transit to daily experience. Traditionally, metros are designed around one key solution, movement. You enter, you pass through, you leave. But globally, we see a clear shift. The most successful transport systems are today those function as places. The question is no longer how fast do we move people. What kind of daily urban experience do we create for millions of users? The Riyadh Metro has the scale and the ambition to move beyond transportation to become a daily interface between the cities and people. I tell you very fast about the 5 pillars about this project. The first is the social impact. Public spaces today exist not only, they must deliver outcomes. In this project, architecture is not only one layer. Voice of space define the behavior of the space should encourage what social outcomes it should deliver and how success is measured. We align 3 elements, people, space, and institution. The second trend is human. The metro stations are one of the few places where all generations, all social groups, and all professionals still interact daily. By design, By design, stations are human-to-human spaces. We support informal interaction, moments of pause, and sense of belonging. This is not about entertainment. It's about social cohesion, which is a fundamental component of long-term urban resilience. The third pillar is the phygital experience. Basically, the metro becomes a living medium, digital layers, screen, QR code, content, AR, interaction, storytelling. The space can educate, communicate value, and evolve over time. This means the station is never static. Content can reflect national milestones, cultural narratives, and innovation and education. The fourth trend is ecosystem, mixed-use logic. The active metro station increases 12 times local footfall and surrounding real estate value, and we see is globally in Hong Kong, London, Seoul. The metro infrastructure stops being a cost and becomes an urban value generator. They benefit public authorities, private investors, and local business. And the 5th trend is the co-creation of social credits. The 5th trend introduces a new finance and governance logic. Here we apply the 5P model: people, place, purpose, participation, and public value. Citizens and organizations are not passive users. They become co-creators, and the key innovation is the social credit. The logical is similar to carbon credit, but instead of compensation environmental impact, they compensate social impact. When people co-finance space, they protect it, use it, and value it. This Metro Park is a Vision 2030 demonstrator. It translates national ambition into everyday experience, quality public service, and human-scale innovation. Leadership today shown not only through iconic projects, but through how people feel in their daily environmental. The future of real estate not only is about making infrastructure meaningful. Riyadh has a real opportunity to lead globally by showing how mobility, real estate, and social value work together. Thank you. I forward to discussion.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Come and join us. Yeah, it's a really exciting project. Come here, come next to me. Don't, Antonio, come here. Otherwise, I'm all by myself down here. It's a long way from you. Yeah, we'll talk a bit more about it in a moment, but I'm just going to bring in my other panelists for a second, because some of the concepts and the trends that you've spoken about that are brought out from the global market and we're seeing really across territories are so useful and insightful for all of us in this room. And Philippe, I know that for you, this idea about quality of life as a real kind of value driver is something that you care deeply about as well. So talk to us about that from your perspective. Does it drive value? Is it just a nice added extra? What do you think?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me, and it's great to be a partner of the Real Estate Future Forum. I guess it's better this way. Also just a note on Antonio's presentation, which I really liked. Especially, it's great to see the transformative impact of the metro on Riyadh. I'm actually personally a happy user of the metro. That helps me in beating traffic, and I can see how it's transforming the city and also creating a lot of real estate opportunities around the metro stations. And coming back to the question of quality of life, the very short answer is yes, it does drive value. Okay. Right? It drives value, of course, for cities in attracting talent, but if we talk about real estate development, it does drive significant value for real estate developers. We like, doing analysis. And we did a very simple analysis which correlates the quality of life scoring of neighborhoods and districts and the prices of real estate compared to other neighborhoods. There is a direct correlation.
So it's like a matrix that you have where you map it, is it?
Sort of a matrix. It's more like mapping dots on this map and showing that in neighborhoods where the quality of life is higher, the real estate prices are higher. Right? That sounds intuitive, right? It has enormous impact on the way real estate developers think of their jobs. Absolutely. Right? For a real estate developer that is developing a single building, it's about selecting the right neighborhood, right? And that commands a particular premium, drives value up. For developers that are developing whole districts, like we have a lot of them in Riyadh, actually, it impacts the way they design their products, their overall experience, right? It's not only about having a nice real estate product, nice apartments, nice villas. It's about thinking of the whole quality of life experience. It starts with things as simple as mobility. How far am I from the metro station? How far am I from work? How far am I from school, from groceries, etc. Then it's into all the needs of education, of healthcare, convenience, etc., etc. And if you think in the right way of these parameters, and if you integrate them in the way you design your districts, you actually drive value up. You make your product, real estate product, more attractive. Yeah. So you have a better market absorption, and you command also higher prices. In a market where a lot of supply is coming, that's really definitely something to consider to build that competitive advantage.
And would you say it is a global expectation? Is it something you're seeing across territories and markets, this idea about those elements and those building blocks that create community and value of life?
100%. Just one parameter, right? If you look in the US, neighborhoods that are walkable command a 23% price premium compared to other neighborhoods. 23% price difference, right? For just a parameter of having a neighborhood that is walkable. So it is a major differentiator. It is an expectation of residents and real estate owners, and it has driven the way cities have thought for the past decades. Yeah. It should more and more drive the way real estate developers think, right? Again, because that drives actually value up in a significant way.
Absolutely. And Emiliano, I know that you have some thoughts about some of these elements as well, linked particularly to Vision 2030, which are areas of real opportunity. And again, going back to this idea about all the elements that comprise community and quality of life. But there are a couple that you have in mind that I think you just wanted to share with us.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Actually, in my personal presentation, you raised a lot the bar of expectation of the audience, but I'm the global real estate leader at Deloitte because I made many global real estate mistakes. So I'm here to share the mistakes we have made in Europe, just to avoid that our Saudi friends can avoid them and fix them. And one thing we have neglected is the demographic data, the demographic studies, actually. Once you are planning a new urban plan, you have to study demographic data. And the data here say that population growth in Saudi has experienced a population growth in the last 4 years from 4 million in 1950 to 35 million in 2020. Prediction says that in 2030, population in Saudi will be 44 million. The urban concentration here will be 80% of Saudi population in 10 cities. And the life expectancy, which is another important data, 43 years old in 1950, up will be in 78 years old in it is in 2024. And this data tells us that one of the most important asset class to study is the construction and management of health facilities.
Absolutely.
We know that there are huge project of Vision 2030 to build and manage health facilities in Saudi. There are 65 billion of investment to build and manage. There are 5 medical cities. I think this is in a very interesting areas of exchange with European companies interested to cooperate, and a company that process. In Italy, what we suggest usually is to have an integrated approach when you come to Saudi or to Middle East in general. Each European company must give multi-services, not one single service. The construction company must be an engineering company, design company, construction company, and once the hospital is completed, they may also give facility services. They may work also with the hospitals managing company. It's easier to move with the construction company together with the health managing companies. In Italy, we have, I mentioned Italy, sorry, I'm more sure of the data that I'm mentioning, and I know some companies better than in other countries. In Italy, the 10 most important companies in Italy in health sector have 4 billion of euros of turnover every year. One of them has 58 hospitals in Italy, and they're eager to transfer their expertise in Saudi. I think the model that Saudi is adopting, the public and private partnership, is the best one. The public provides the urban planning, the private expertise and the finance, and I think that is one of the best ways to continue like we have done in the last years in Europe, and we would like that other Italian companies or European companies can contribute to Saudi market to that asset class.
Yeah, it's fascinating because there are so many different elements that underpin everyday life, which obviously come back to real estate. Philippe, you're nodding. Is that something that you would say maps against your view of the Saudi market right now?
Absolutely. It does, and I think it's really fascinating to see how the real estate market is developing, has developed, further over the past few years in the kingdom. Very much driven or reignited with the mega project that are, I would say, reshaping the cities, or the next wave of development of cities, like in Riyadh, in Jeddah, and beyond, and that is also pushing the whole real estate ecosystem, to the next step, right? Of thinking of how we develop those, integrated, districts, how we think, as you said, of the whole ecosystem, right? Not only thinking of, building, but then how we operate, because this is everything that will eventually define the quality of the experience for the residents, for the visitors, for the talent that we want to attract to this district. So absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're talking, both of you, about this sort of global perspective and these trends coming from other places as well. And Antonio, let's bring you back into the conversation at this stage, because there's a reason why this project for the Riyadh Metro system is being brought to life. And some of it does come from, you're the master of international partnerships and looking at international trends, but just talk to us a little bit about how we are learning from those trends in order to put something into place here in the Middle East.
Actually, we see this like in the PPP in Europe. We call 5P, is not an invention, it started to be called like this 5-6 years ago. Basically, we see that the private-public partnership take better if also the society is involved. Simply because you have already people that are clients sometimes, people that sometimes are stakeholders like classic sponsor. And what is super important is see that the society, when is involved, is participating and making the infrastructure be part of their life. And it's not anymore you go a soccer field or a swimming pool or a hub of the metro hub. It's not anymore a soccer field, it's not anymore a swimming pool, it's not anymore everything become as a social place. So the fundamental is the human to human. After is build everything around, including the finance. So that is the main element. Put the man, the person, the needs of the family in the center of the infrastructure. Everything go around.
We are having a very human conversation here in a conference which is potentially about bricks and mortar, but we all know that it's about so much more than that. And I think a big theme and trend that we're also seeing is this idea about globally competitive cities. And I'm going to come back to you in a second, Emiliano, but just for a second, Philippe, if we zoom out and look at those elements that really enable us to build globally competitive cities here in the Kingdom, in the GCC, what would your thoughts be on that?
So we are in a context where talent attraction is a global game, right? Across the vast majority of the industries. And Saudi is playing, and Riyadh playing very boldly in this game to attract talent that are fueling the next wave of growth and economic development. So in this context, you are compared to other cities. And not only to cities in the GCC, but you are compared to cities globally, right? And when people have job opportunities, they will compare Riyadh with New York, with Paris, with London. And I cannot count how many people are actually reaching out from other cities in the world, friends and family, asking about Riyadh and what it is and how interesting it is. And so there is this we are being compared with other cities. The economic opportunities are here, the job opportunities are here, and then people wonder how is quality of life, right? So developing a compelling value proposition in terms of job opportunities, but also then in terms of livability is essential. And another thing that people are looking at when they compare cities is also what we call social capital.
Social capital. Tell us more about it.
This human-to-human dimension, right? What brings you to a city is typically, or what pushes you to move from a city to another is initially typically, I would say, the job opportunity first. Then you check what I call hygiene factors, right? Do I have the right, education system for my kids, healthcare system in case I have a health issue? This is what brings people. What makes people stay for long in a place is their ability to create a community around them, right? It's relationships that make people happy and want to stay to a place. And I think city designers, real estate developers have a big responsibility in enabling this community development, this connection between humans, the development of this social capital that make people stay once they are attracted to come to a place like Riyadh.
Yeah, and keeping it very competitive, as you say, in a market where people can choose to go to any city in the world.
Always, because it's not only about attracting people, it's again about retaining them for the long term.
And through that experience. Emiliano, you talked about sort of the healthcare part of real estate as one of the pillars that maybe makes a city or a place globally competitive and attractive. Is there another element, is there another pillar that you think is critically important that the developers and the city planners think through?
Yes, thank you, Miriam. I think another pillar of real estate which is very important to develop, and the Saudi is already doing a great job in that, is the agricultural field. Agri-tech, agritourism, and artificial intelligence in agriculture. We usually neglect agriculture in our real estate conferences. I think agri-tech is essential today. Saudi has extreme weather conditions, scarcity of water, and there are some technological tools in the agriculture to increase the quantity and the quality of production of food. Hydroponic, for instance. Hydroponic is a measure to grow crops not with water but with minerals. Or vertical farming. Vertical farming is a way of producing food not in horizontal land but in vertical plastic pipes. They reduce water, they reduce land. There is actually an increase of consumption of energy, but it's essential today to have a national production of food in Saudi. Saudi has 80% of its consumption of food imported abroad. Saudi is doing a great job in increasing the national production. It's essential to have local production. Yeah. Production in Saudi, but production also closer to the city. And there is also a real estate asset class to invest in, which has a social impact. Okay. We always say real estate, it's not a building. Real estate is usually a neglected market because there are few people working in real estate. It has not labor forces, but real estate is an asset class which provides public and private, but also public services for the community, as I said, for the health, as I'm saying, for the agriculture. So agriculture is another asset class to invest in. One last word, also conventional farm and conventional agriculture is important to link agriculture with tourism. That's something in Italy and Europe we've been doing the last years, and it's strongly increasing the number of tourists going to farms to participate to the harvest and to the production of food. COVID and smart working are changing our habits, and that's a trend to catch and to transform in a line of business for social real estate.
I mean, fascinating insights into some of the potential opportunities and trends that we might start seeing here. But you did mention social capital again. And let's just talk about capital in the cold, hard sense of where that money goes. So Antonio, obviously, is somebody who cares deeply about the social impact of projects and real estate. Is that going to affect investor confidence? Is it going to be a driver as to where that global capital goes? Talk to us about that.
It's to my point of view in my history is that I started 10 years ago when I started the first license of crowdfunding of no-profit companies, and I started to work on this. I convinced the banks, especially the stock authority, that this is a business. Today I feel that 10 years after, the history has changed. The investors wanted to be part of sports centers, just to be not named as sponsor, but as a promoter of them. So basically for 25, 20, 30 years, all the conception time, they will be named after the project. They can be, depends on how much money they put. They can also be the entire name, like some university they have the name of the main sponsor. So today this has much effect also because they need, and they not financial information, declare what they good for the society. And I think not only the carbon credit, but also the social credit can be a market. So this is my big, after 10 years, I'm thinking to the secondary market of this kind of elements. But the first 10 years was useful to create the idea that if you invest in a social impactful project, you can benefit not only financially.
Yeah, and I think, like you're saying, it is definitely a value driver, and it's a decision-making factor as to where people are spending and investing.
Absolutely.
Emiliano, you have an interesting perspective about something you call a bilateral platform for investment. Briefly, because we are running rapidly towards the end of this panel, can you just share with our audience here your perspective on that kind of bilateral platform for investment, how we help international asset managers really create those partnerships?
Thank you. From social investment, as Antonio and Philippe were mentioning, to financial investment, pure financial investment, we're assisting global asset managers to invest in Middle East. We're bringing them here. What they see, they need knowledge, they want to meet people, they need to touch the assets, which is essential to create a personal trust between the two entities. I see it's also very important to create a bilateral platform of investment between Europe and Middle East. That creates the possibility for European investors to open their funds, liquidity to invest in Saudi. What we're doing also, we are working with the International Association, which also with one represented by Antonio, and by Italian Association Assoimmobiliare, which is the Italian Association of Real Estate Group, organizing a property tour at the end of the year or next year, because we want the really financial real estate markets to come over here and to personally meet the national investors, because it's essential to work together to build a new project. Alone we die.
Amazing. And then, Philippe, perhaps we can just close with your perspective about global capital and where it's going and what people need to be thinking about and aware of if they want to attract that capital. What do you see happening in the global market?
Yep, absolutely. So what is interesting is we've seen a real pickup of one particular asset class over the past 2 years, which is not surprising, which is data centers. And it's actually a lot of investment from, of course, the hyperscalers we know about, but also it's actually bringing a lot of investment from PE funds, real estate funds, infra funds, that is not going into other asset classes where it was typically going. So there's competition for capital, and there's competition on the nature of the project, on the returns. So I think when we think of Saudi Arabia, that is bringing capital to the mega projects, for instance, it's very important to think of what will make the project attractive, not only in terms of returns, but also the whole ecosystem that is built around the projects, what will make them attractive for capital investors.
Especially with obviously the change in the opportunity for international investment. So we are opening the chance for that, and we have to make it attractive.
Exactly.
Incredible. Well, we have run out of time, which is such a shame because we could talk about market trends and learnings from the global market for hours. But my takeaways from this are really thinking more about that social impact, that social capital that we can create that is a value driver. We can definitely be aware of where the money is going, where it's being spent, what's top of people's minds. So making sure that we are attracting that external investment and that international investment, and also being aware of those different real estate pillars that are driving this social, community-led value of life pillar that is so important that we integrate into the cities that we're designing and building for the future.